I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, July the 12th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Back to the regular Monday sales now after the holiday break, but they did have that Thursday special that they threw together with 5,200 head there last Thursday, but about 4,500 head for the regular Monday sale, and going to have several loads of yearlings on there. The next big special they got coming up will be August the 4th. That'll be a special cow and bull sale in the afternoon starting at 4:30 in the afternoon. The executive order, and we've just been getting more and more awareness about all the things that are working against us as cattle producers with your beef and cattle business, and we've got the ear of Washington, D.C., and now we've gotten included in an executive order. So, it's a great thing that we've been included in there. Mr. Magoo has signed executive order at the end of last week there, and it was all about addressing corporate consolidation, the lack of competition, your labor markets, and I don't know if there's any truth to the rumor that he signed it in crayon. I don't know if he actually read it or had any idea what he was signing. And you think, gosh, we were all big fans of Trump. Why didn't we get anything like this done when Trump was in there? Well, Trump was his own man. He did just sign everything that they threw in front of him and didn't sign that many executive orders if you've looked at what we've done here just this short time since Biden's been in. But at least we've gotten the ear, and so his people that work under him are calling the shots and making the rules, and he just signs whatever they throw in front of him. But luckily, we have made enough noise in Washington, D.C. to get included in this, and and it has to do with health care. It has to do with hearing aids, so that's a good deal. You guys have seen all those commercials that guy that gets so frustrated on how much his hearing aids cost. Well, hopefully he'll be able to get a cheaper hearing aid now. But also looking into transportation, looking into technology, into banking and internet services, and indeed looking at agriculture. And we were specifically, us as beef and cattle business was specifically mentioned in that, and that's a big deal, because the statistics, production agriculture people make up less than 2% of the population, and if you look at just cattle and beef, it'd be well less than half of that. So to have less than 1% of the population mentioned in an executive order, that's a pretty big deal. The executive order includes 72 initiatives from more than a dozen different federal agencies, so it's a big deal. But, and I hate to be the devil's advocate, but if you look down through there and you see what the executive order does, especially when it comes to agriculture and specifically in cattle and beef, it just urges, it urges packers and stockyards to do something. Well, we've been kicking that dead horse for 100 years here, trying to get them to do something, and they did a very good job when everything was kind of consolidated within the old River Market stockyards, and they had an office right there, and the packing plants were right there around it. But from the time we got into the 1960s, when everything shifted out to the more arid, dry climates to feed cattle, and then the packing plants moved out there, they quit enforcing all the rules that they should have been enforcing all along. We wouldn't be in this shape if Packers and Stockyards Administration had been enforcing the rules that they were sworn to enforce all along. But it urges them, to look further into some of these investigations, and it does a lot of urging. Well, we've been urging for a long time, but we finally got the White House administration urging, and so maybe we can use this to continue to spur on. But what we've got to do is we've got to get one of these bills passed, and hopefully they can come up with a hybrid between the 5014 that Charles Grassley has championed and then the Cattle Market Transparency Act that Deb Fisher has put forth. But we've got to get some of those things done. But we've got the bullhorn behind us now, all the way in Washington, D.C., and from talking to the guys at U.S. Cattlemen's Association, the staffers from those different senators and congressmen are running around trying to find out what they can get put together, and seeing what votes they can get, and I feel very encouraged that we are going to get something done. But this executive order by itself does not actually do that. But it also includes in that executive order, and we actually had Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack, out at a retail market. It talks about the truth in labeling, and what product of the USA should really mean, and how it kind of leads your consumers astray. You would think whenever you look at that, it says product of the USA, they're thinking, well, the cows were here, the cattle were here, they were raised here, they were grown here, they were fed here, they were harvested here, and then processed here. But we know that that hasn't been the case. But good job to RCAF and those guys for preaching this for so many years about the truth in labeling, and how they've been kind of manipulating that product of the USA. But let's look at your board for last week. August live cattle futures, of course, Monday was a holiday. Tuesday was up 40, and then we kind of fell out of bed there middle of the week. Wednesday was down $1.80, Thursday down 132, Friday just down a nickel, but your day traders were kind of taking some profit there, so they shored the thing up a little bit. But August live cattle contracts ended the week at 119.22. down 277 for the week, and I told you all last week that your cash fat cattle market was kind of a two-sided deal, with the northern plains gaining ground where they trade a lot of negotiation there, and then your southern plains losing ground where there's really no negotiated trade at all, and no price transparency. But your October live cattle futures ended the week at 125.75. Feeder cattle now, as hot as our cash feeder cattle were, and all your sales and all your videos and the like, your board was real supportive to start the week out, because we had corn down the limit. But then after that, it kind of tailed off a little bit till the end, when again profit taking come back in. But Monday was a holiday for feeder cattle contracts. Tuesday up 357. That was a big shot in the arm, and that's what gave the guys the confidence to get in there and start buying these future delivery cattle and these late summer yearlings as high as they did. And then with corn being down, that made them feel a lot more confident about their feed costs. But Wednesday was down $1.62, Thursday down $1.67. Friday came back a little bit, up $1.85. But your August feeder cattle contracts ended the week at 159.17. up 213 for the week. So that was good that the feeder cattle were up, but man, we sure need to get a little bit more leverage in this fat cattle trade. If guys are continue to blow their brains out on these feeder cattle, and I know we're selling the best performing cattle for the whole year, these green grass summer yearlings, and we're working off a pretty good out front live cattle board that you can hedge to. But if we don't show that we can get some leverage at some point and gain ground consistently in your fat cattle market, how much longer they're going to continue to prop those up. But September feeder cattle contracts ended the week at 161.82. Your fat cattle trade through Thursday of last week, 65,400 head. So for the way things are right now, that wasn't horrible, but 65,400 for your 5-area feeding region. Negotiated live sales and steers and heifers range from 118 to 127, with a weighted average through Thursday of just over 122. Now that was still down almost $2. And a lot of people just kind of refused to admit that the market was lower. They thought everything was going fine. No, whenever they've been getting 122 and 124 for cattle in Texas and Kansas, and then they start puking them immediately as the week started out after the holiday at 120, it's lower. And dress sales of steers and heifers were not as much lower. Of course, they trade most all of those in the northern plains, but 193 to 203 dressed. And your weighted average through Thursday was 198.48, which was actually off about 34 cents, but that's not bad. And your live sales in the northern plains were higher. But we did have some trade on Friday. Iowa had confirmed sales on Friday, which wasn't included in what I just told you. 2,300 head confirmed on Friday, about 24,000, which is about typical for them for the week. Live sales 124 to 126.50, so that'll prop that weighted average up just a little bit. And dress sales in Iowa on Friday from 196 to 197. Nebraska only about 600 head on Friday, confirmed 18,300 head for the week. That's light for them. And just dress sales on Friday from 196 to 198.50. Kansas only 400 head and about 18,800 head for the week. 118 to 120, and like I said, it's just so much lower in the Southern Plains because, even though the bulk of them traded at 120, late in the week, a lot of them were 119 and even dipping down into 118, and why we decided to give up that much market position, I can't understand it. But Texas didn't have any confirmed sales on Friday and only about 7,500 head for the week. Box beef cutout values are lower, and you say, well, that's why fat cattle are lower. It's because our box beef cutout values are lower. They were so inflated for the first several months of this year, taking advantage of the COVID, taking advantage of the cyber attack, taking advantage of anything they can possibly take advantage of, spreading rumors about not being able to get workers there and having slow change speeds because they couldn't get people to work because they could sit at home and make more money on Biden's plan, which, to a certain extent that's true. That doesn't limit you from paying them more and making them come to work. It's just like, talking about these AMAs, these alternative marketing agreements. It says, well, that's the only way we can get paid for our top performing cattle, for our really, really top quality cattle. No, the packers can pay more for those cattle to you live, right there in the feedlot. Of course, most of them don't know what a good one's supposed to look like anymore, but there's no rule against them paying you more for those cattle, either live or dressed, negotiated. They can damn sure do it, but they're not going to unless they have to. They want you to, all the onus on you to provide what they want, and then they'll share just a small percentage of those premiums with you. But box beef cutout values, like I said, lower. Choice cuts, this is the weighted average on all of last week's sales. 283.03, down $7.80 from the weighted average from the previous week. And late in the week, it was even lower than that with late Friday quotes at 278.59. Selects, 260.72 was the weighted average on all of last week's sales, down $8.28 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. And on Friday late, it was even lower than that at 257.41. 518 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings, and we just don't see that much trade in the spot market anymore. Your packers like to hide a lot of that information in forward deliveries beyond what we see on this spot box beef cutout value. Your slaughter. And now you had that Monday holiday in there. 4th of July was actually Sunday, but most of your plants were all closed on Monday. But still 582,000 for the week harvested, and a big Saturday, this past Saturday, of 95,000 head. That's the biggest Saturday we've seen for quite some time, and I don't know why we can't do that consistently. But a week ago, it was 626,000, and a year ago, 649,000. Your year-to-date cattle slaughter is up about 5% over last year, which you think, well, it should be because we've been able to keep things going a little better because the COVID was worse a year ago than it was the first half of this year. But you compare that to your hog slaughter, which is just about exactly the same. So we've been putting a lot of cattle through the knock chute there and killing a lot of cows. Been drying a lot of places, but the market's been staying good for your boneless beef products, and we've been getting along pretty good, and we are going to be going into a period of time where we're going to have our supplies back in our favor. We're going to keep demand good and have lower supplies of both cows to slaughter and fed steers and heifers. So if we could just figure out a way to get a little bit of leverage, perhaps force the packers to trade a minimum amount of those cattle in a negotiated manner, that would be a good way to get some leverage there in the trade. But if we can't convince the other industries, investors and the like, that we can do that. I don't know how we're going to continue to get support. But look at what else is going on. This week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, starting here on Monday with the yearlings, Western Video Market's having their biggest video of the year. 150,000 head going to be offered there in the 3-day sale. About 137,000 head of cattle and about 12 or 13,000 head of lambs. So it's going to be a big sale. You can go on to wvmcattle.com. You can get in there and look at the catalog, print one of those out if you need to. You can look at the videos. You can decide what you want to do. But you guys want to buy those green grass yearlings. They start on Monday here, and it's pretty early. It's like 7:15 Pacific, which gets a little easier for guys out here in the central part of the country. But they're going to be I've got a few deals of calves, then they're going to get right on the yearlings. And they've got a lot of really top quality and a lot of program true grass yearlings there. And they're going to be starting with their furthest east customers, and Western is primarily western part of the United States and a lot west of the Rockies. But they've got a lot of western Nebraska yearlings on there, some of them out of the Sandhills there. They've got some Wyoming yearlings, some Colorado yearlings, Montana. They're going to clean all those yearlings up and then just start working back west until they get to the Oregon and California yearlings out there. But a big day on Monday, and as hot as this market is, I assume we're going to see some real eye-opening prices on those. But if you want to get them, they're kind of running out, guys. You need to get on there and get some of those bought and be some of the best consignments they have anytime on that Western Video Market sale. Then on Tuesday, they're going to be selling the late summer and early fall delivery calves. And they got a lot of those. A lot of them will be weaned. They'll be big calves, but you know, some will be as good as yearlings. They're going to sell those Tuesday, and then Tuesday afternoon they're going to come in after the cattle with breeding stock, and then sell the lambs last on Tuesday. I'm actually going to be going out. I got a big meeting on Monday with DV Auction in Omaha, and then flying out to Reno to give a talk for Beringer Ingelheim Tuesday at Reno at Silver Legacy there, where they're having the Western Video Market sale. Look forward to seeing all the guys out there, and I tell you what, that is just a fun gathering there of some really good people. You know, a lot of them from way out west there, but you know, Ellington Peak and Brad Peak, and you know, a lot of the people that were around that Cottonwood market there, the Shasta market at Cottonwood, California. Look forward to seeing them. Look forward to seeing John Rogers. He'll be there auctioneering. Rick Machado is going to be auctioneering, in my opinion, one of the best world champion auctioneers we've ever had. You can get on to dvauction.com or wvmcattle.com and watch that sale. It's also on Dish Network, and they won't charge you anything to listen to Rick Machado sell, and it's sure worth the price of admission if they wanted to. But Max Oliveira will be on there selling too. But it's really going to be a fun time and a good sale to watch for you guys that have the ability to sit at home and watch that sale. But Wednesday they're going to come in Wednesday morning with the later delivery calves, the fall delivery calves, and even some of them early winter delivery calves. Be interesting to see what the market is on those, and with our out fronts as high as they are on the board, it could get pretty waspy on some of those later delivery cattle. But don't miss Western Video Market sale, their big sale from Reno, Nevada, this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market and your sale barns. Real-time index on DV Auction ended the week at 153.35. You look back before we got into the holidays, so 2 weeks ago, before we got into the 4th of July break and everything, that 153.35 is up $8 and a nickel compared to what it was then. So we've gained a lot of ground right here during the holidays, and this past week was no exception. Cash feeders this past week in your sale barns, sure $6 to $10 higher where they had them offered, and they had a lot of those big specials like Green City, Missouri, Bassett, Nebraska. You know, a lot of good sales with some real top consignments on there. But I'm going to give you several quotes from around the circuit there late in the week and mostly on Friday. But Wahoo Livestock Sales in Wahoo, Nebraska, that's a DV Auction Broadcasting barn there. You should look at them on Fridays. But Wahoo sold 74 head of 731-pound steers at $165 on Friday. Wow. Sale barn that I've never really talked about before, but they're getting set up to start pumping their market information through there, get them one of those National Beef Wire TVs set up in their sale barn, and hopefully get to talk about them and some big quotes a lot more. But Cale James is the new owner there at Fairview Livestock Commission Company, Fairview, Oklahoma. That sale barn's got a lot of history behind it. But glad to have them aboard here. And he showed me where they sold a big load, 61 head of 880-pound steers on Friday at $157.50. That's nearly $85,000 load of cattle right there, guys. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Richmond, Kentucky out there? I love that market. Look at these quotes that come out of there. These are some of the big strings that they had, load lots and bigger that they had on there, but they had 3 loads of 9-weight steers on there, so from 143.95, they squeeze every drop out of them out there at Bluegrass, up to 147.60, and indeed the 147.60 cattle were the heaviest of the 9 weights that I'm talking about. They had 5 loads of 10-weight cattle in Richmond, Kentucky, guys. They don't sell them all right off the cow one at a time. Those guys are adding value to their cattle by keeping those cattle local. They're not as hard for them to straighten up as it is shipping them right off the cow at those lighter weights, and they can background those cattle and add a lot of weight and a lot of money to them. But those 5 loads of 10 weight sell from 133 to 139.80. But look at Lexington, Nebraska. Lexington Livestock Market had about 2,250 cattle on hand there, and about 800 of them were cows and bulls. It's dry in spots out there, guys. But they did have a good slaughter cow market there, and was driven by a lot of guys that were wanting to go in there and buy that top quality breeding stock there, and a lot of them not too old. They just kind of needed to move them because it didn't have the grass for them, and some of them going back to service other people's herds. But I looked at your automated market report on there and saw that they had 759 head of 9-weight steers there on Friday in Lexington, Nebraska. They averaged 953 at 156.37 on all those 9-weight steers. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Lexington, Nebraska there, 172 head of 1,001-pound big feeding steers bring $155. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.